welcome back to MPL Weekly. I'm Becca Scott. We have Alias V and Brad Nelson. May I say, Ailey just called Anticipate as the card if you are one of our Twitch subscribers. So you didn't see ad, you saw a game of Name That Card, which is a super fun game for us to play as we're sitting here.
We're totally professional.
Absolutely, we are 100%, because we're always talking about magic, both on and off screen, nothing else, sometimes lunch. All right.
I sacrificed a few food tokens before coming back to the desk, so I'm feeling good to go.
All right. Well, let's talk about what we're doing here today on MPL Weekly by looking at our bracket of what's happened so far in these matches. So we see that Matt Nass is already in the grand finals. We've just seen the lower semifinals. Unfortunately, Brad's BBD was eliminated with the Esper Hero deck. So now we've just got a series of Kethis mirrors all day long. And next up is Shi Tian and Yukuhiro. Just a few variations in between these players' decks, but that'll probably make all the difference, right, Brad?
Yeah, no, the all three players that brought Kethis metagamed uniquely, and Ken went the most aggressive. And I like that because Ken and Brian were in a position where they had to win 4 matches, right? They have to beat all 3 players and one of them twice, where the other 2 could get there by just winning 2 matches. So I love that Ken did just kind of shave off half of the good matchups for Kethis, like all the cards that you'd want for it, and is just playing all of these Assassin Trophies, which are going to be huge in this match against Shi Tian.
Absolutely, and as you said, whoever starts in the lower bracket has to beat someone in the upper bracket twice in a row.
Yeah.
Just want to spell that out because it is a little unusual. I mean, of course, the way this bracket has to work, if it's double elimination, if a player hasn't lost, they'd have to be beat twice.
And I have experience, and it's not easy.
Absolutely not. All right.
It's definitely a trial of tribulations for the people in the lower brackets, so it'd be cool if we could see that happen.
Yeah, no easy task, but we are going to see another mirror match before those grand finals. So let's go ahead and take a look at this game between Shi Tian and Yukuhiro.
Alrighty, kicking things off, got a pretty good mana base there, some sweet cards to start things off. For Lee, we got Oath of Kaya, we've got Fibblethip, Yawgmoth's Vile Offering, I hope we get to see that fired off, and Tameo, Collector of Tales. Yukuhiro just deciding if he wants to keep his hand. Brad, do you like this?
I do like this hand, and we should be able to see that go off because there's not a ton of interaction in the mirrors. So we will see Yawgmoth's Vile Offering, which is a great Game 1 card for Lee.
Oh yeah. Taking a look at the other side there, the opposing hand, we also got a good mana base. We've got Teferi, Bringer of Cards and Bouncer of Things, Diligent Excavator, and Ashiok as well. So missing the Diligent Excavator on Lee's side, but doubtless we'll find it eventually. Maybe Fibblethip can be the hero we all need and bring one to the battlefield for us. But instead finding Lazav Multifarious off the top of the library and a Jace in the hand for Yukuhiro. So getting things started here, we've got Fibblethip the Lost. What does he bring for Lee? It's another Fibblethip. So Fibblethip is traveling in a pack today. So he's going to be drawing a few extra cards. Just, getting into the rhythm here. We got Diligent Excavator, no Mox Amber to follow up, but we do have several legendaries in the hand of Yukuhiro.
Yeah, it does seem like we're going to see an Oath of Kaya come down here just to interact with Yukuhiro, especially since we have that Yawgmoth's Vile Offering and the Tameo. Those 2 cards are going to be able to fill the graveyard, get something powerful back, and maybe just start casting that Yawgmoth's Vile Offering multiple times throughout this game.
So getting rid of the Diligent Excavator, I mean, that's probably the best target besides Lazav for Oath of Kaya. Well, barring killing a Planeswalker, that's a pain in the butt, as a good old Teferi Time Reveler has been known to be. But, just getting rid of that 1 combo piece, firing off the Tameo now for Lee. Gonna name possibly a Diligent Excavator just to try and get this combo set up, or maybe even Kethis. Let's see what he goes for.
Yeah, it's one or the other. I can see arguments for both, but I do like hitting Kethis. And this is just it, right? Now, if Lee can find an untapped land or use the Tameo to get down, it's going to be very difficult for Ken to get back in this game because his hand is so heavy, right? So many difficult casting costs, no Moxes in the graveyard.
Yeah, he is seeming to be a little bit behind in terms of board state, but we do have Little Teferi and Ashiok down now. Ashiok's going to go exiling some graveyards, so milling himself, finding a few goodies, and sending Lee's graveyard into exile, so those cards won't be a factor for the rest of this game.
finding a lot of goodies, actually. I think
Yeah.
there was 2 Moxes there.
Yeah, I think I saw that go off there. So we'll have to see when we hover over the graveyard just what is there. We also have Kethis hidden hand for Yukuhiro, so he may be able to get his combo assembled a little quicker than Lee. But Teferi just plussing, can't do anything else at the moment. Lee drawing Teferi Time Raveler off the top. He's got Fibblethip and Lazav the Multifarious. Lazav doesn't have any targets, so he's just going to be, you know, good old Lazav.
Yeah, since Lee doesn't have that 5th land, can aggressively try to go find a Mox, but all those cards are going to get exiled by the opposing Ashiok. This is a very difficult turn for Lee. I don't actually know what the correct line is.
Possibly going to find a Diligent Excavator now, or maybe Kethis again.
Yeah,
Let's see what he calls for here. It's going to be... Yes? What are we looking for?
Well, Mox Amber does allow for that Vile Offering
Yeah.
to take care of any permanent on Ken's side, which that Ashiok is really frustrating right now
Yeah.
for Lee.
For sure. I mean, if anything's a good target for an Oath of Kaya, it's going to be that
Oh, wow.
Ashiok. Ooh, okay.
That is a mathematically higher hit since there's a Mox already exiled.
So we've got the Kethis hidden hand. We can run that out. We've got Fibblethip, have a Lazav that's not doing much, and another Teferi Time Raveler for Lee. He's just staring down the side of the board. You know, how does he get around these 2 Planeswalkers that are just, you know, causing a few ructions in his plans?
Well, it's not that they're going to actually like do much for the next turn, but little does Lee know that Ken has a Kethis in hand and might be able to actually like generate a combo next turn.
Yeah. And we have seen how this deck can just go off out of nowhere, depending on what Ashiok could mill for Ken Yukuhiro. So it looks like it might be the Kethis here, just deciding how he wants to sequence this turn. Little Fibblethip can go attacking, and he's going to go after Ashiok, because Ashiok is making merry with the graveyard. So let's see what the plan is here for Lee.
I don't know if it happens to you, but Ashiok just actually gets into my nightmares. That voice is
Yes, it's terrifying.
horrifying.
And they've updated it to make it even spookier. Like, come on. It was pretty terrifying the first time around, and now it's just woof.
So this is going to let Lee get a decent board position, double
Yeah.
spell.
Yeah, Fibblethip into the graveyard, drawing a Tamio Collector of Tales. Going for the Temple of Silence. There's a Mox Amber off the top. That is big. So
That
we
is-
have 2 pieces of the combo assembled.
That is big, but that Ashiok will be able to get
Yeah.
rid of it.
Oh, yes. Well, if he targets him, does he? He sees that he kept it on top. So does he go, yes, I want to make that top card you liked go away, or does he keep milling his own graveyard? Let's see.
That is a tough one.
Or could he debate him and be like, yeah, it's a land, it's totally fine. Ha-ha! Did it work? Cool, all right. So he didn't go for Lee's hand, but the graveyard is gone. We keep the Mox Amber, though, which is crucial. So let's see what is in that graveyard.
So there's only, that's the exile. So
Yeah.
now I think we're going to see like a mini combo turn. Since we have 2 Moxes and a Kethis, I don't know what Lee's going to be able to do with it for sure. I know that we can get into play, get a Tamio into play, and might be able to get the Excavator into play.
So let's see, tapping mana here, we're going to see Kethis, hidden hand, enter the battlefield. We do have a Tamio. If we can get a Mox, perhaps we could cast that, but yeah, it's possible. So just taking a look at the graveyard now. What does he want to exile away? What does he want to play? 2 Mox Ambers. We've got Diligent Excavator that we want to dig out so we can get this combo rolling. A few other goodies in there too for Ken Yukuhiro. So Lee just has to sit back and watch now and see if a combo can be assembled for Ken Yukuhiro.
Yeah, in a more stressful seat than ours.
Yeah.
But I could see like the Teferi being exiled, 5 mana Teferi, along with maybe one of those Lazavs. And we're going to be able to see Tamio. We might have a kill here.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see. We are exiling a few Teferis. I will say, when I was playing around with Ken Yukuhiro's list, Teferi was the first Planeswalker or the first legendary to get exiled, because it's not often you're going to see him replayed from the graveyard. It's all the cheap spells that you want to get out and keep cycling, you know, the card draw, the Teferis, the Mox Ambers, possibly Lazav, but Lazav also tends to get exiled a little bit sooner than usual.
Yeah, for everyone at home, those Teferi Hero of Dominaries are for those stages of the game when you have an anemic draw, when you don't have a lot of action going on. It can also act as an interactive effective spell in a pinch. And when you're comboing off, it's not necessary. So that's just something that's just first to go, which most of your legendary cards in your deck aren't necessary when you're comboing off.
Exactly right. So Lazav has entered the battlefield. Does it have a target in the graveyard? I don't think so. I think most of the things are going to be exiled, and we're just going to try and dig through and find as many of our Mox Ambers as we can for Ken Yukuhiro.
Well, the Lazav actually will be able to turn into an excavator.
Oh, yes, you're right. So you don't have to dig out the graveyard. So,
Nope.
yeah, there we go. There we go. Diligent Excavator, i.e. Lazav the Multifarious, in play now. So every time we play a legendary, we're going to be digging, we're going to be milling through somebody's deck. And for the time being, it is going to be Yukuhiro getting some more goodies into the graveyard, finding another Kethis, a few lands. Still that one Mox in the graveyard to Fairy and other Diligent Excavators. Now, do you ever change gears to try and get more Diligent Excavators out, or is it just a case of, okay, let's see how many I can play now?
Do you want the truth?
Yeah.
Well, the truth is I don't know how to optimally combo with this deck, but I haven't screwed it up yet. Whatever I've done has worked, and that's a test to a good combo deck, when you can, you know, kind of do whatever you want and still get there.
Exactly right. I mean, hell, I even played this and managed to get a few wins, so it seems easy enough, but not really, because I still don't even know when is the correct time to change gears, you know, whether I'm milling my opponent or milling myself. But we can see here Ken Yukuhiro just going off, playing Lazav the Multifarious, proper Lazav, not fake Lazav. Surveilling some more stuff into the graveyard, sending more cards into the graveyard as well through the Diligent Excavator. And just taking a peek there, seeing what is in that graveyard. Lee's very curious.
Yeah, once you have 2 Teferis and 2 Moxes, you can just churn through your entire deck. But you might not have enough resources to win the game from there. But because that Jace is there, did we actually get stuck?
I think we got stuck. I don't think.
Interesting.
Or does he not have enough to exile? There certainly seem to be a few goodies, but just not finding that second or third copy of Mox that he needed to keep things going. No Fibblethip the Lost to bring him cards either. So, Lee, it's your turn, sir. What can you do with your current cards?
Well, it seems like we're going to want to start with that Tamio, because if we get enough Moxes, we can Vile Offering to get an Excavator and start going off that way.
Mm-hmm. So here you go, activating Tamio, Collector of Tales. Not yet. He wants to do something else before we get going. Eyeing that Yawgmoth's Vile Offering out. And what's the best target for that? You want to kill Kethis?
In play, it's interesting because like it should be the Kethis, and hope that there's not another way to put that into play on the following turn. Because if you don't take the Kethis out, it can just put all of these permanents back into play already.
Yeah. Lee doesn't know that Ken has 2 Tamios, so like you said, ways to get it back, there are certainly those, but the Lazav can also become Kethis, right? So
yes,
it's not actually getting rid of it, even if you kill it with Yawgmoth's Vile Offering.
That is what's so powerful about this deck, the level of redundancy. It's
yeah.
There's so many angles of attack and so many ways to get those cards back into play.
So now we're going to activate Tamio, Collector of Tales. What is she collecting for us? Hopefully for Lee Arson. Taking a look-see at his list and trying to find that other Mox Amber. He can get that going, or no, Diligent Excavator instead. Hey, ripping one off the top. Oh, there goes a Mox into the graveyard. Can he get the combo going here with 2 Mox Ambers now available to him through Kethis? He needs to fill out that graveyard a little better, though.
It's possible, though, because this excavator is going to come down. We're going to play a Mox Amber. That's a trigger. A Vile Offering, that's another trigger.
Yeah. So there are shenanigans afoot here for Lee Arson. How many combinations can he get going with these cards? Let's see what's next. Taking a look at the graveyard, Kethis, another Mox, Yawgmoth's Vile Offering is going for it. What is the target, though? That's what I'm dying to know. What would you go for?
Well, I would probably get another Excavator to try to mill myself out. I don't think actually what he takes from Ken matters too much, because you're trying to win the game this turn.
Yeah.
So,
you can see him like just deliberating there. Which one is more of a pain in the backside to deal with? Is it Kethis or is it Ashiok that keeps eating my graveyard?
Yeah, I mean, it won't matter for Ken unless Ken gets another turn, which Lee does not want to happen.
Yeah.
So this Excavator is going to come into play, and now we're going to try to loot Moxes to try to find that third. Now keep in mind, one did get exiled earlier.
Yeah.
So Lee is going to only have 3 to work with for this entire game.
All right, so getting rid of the redundant copies of Kethis, allowing him to replay that Mox Amber. We do have a Lazav. We've got Teferi. Does he have enough mana here, though, to play anything from his graveyard? You can play the Mox. We can exile 2 cards. Hopefully hit some legendaries.
Yeah, we're going to have to see another activation, and then maybe a Teferi play. This isn't a very aggressive trying to combo off, but maybe you just have to do it. And because it looks like Ken is going to go off next turn no matter what. So the other thing to keep in mind, though, is unlike the other two decks that played today, Lee does not have a Jace in the main deck. So Lee has to have enough resources, which means getting enough excavators into play to mill out Ken. And I don't remember how many cards are in the graveyard or in the library. I don't think there's that many, though.
Yeah, so it's certainly going to be a point soon where we'll have to shift gears just in case Lee is at risk of being milled himself. But we've got Mox Amber down, we've got Mana Floating, as the deck likes to do, and we got Teferi, Bouncer of Things and Bringer of Cards. What is he going to bounce? Is it going to be the Mox Amber? Is it going to be the Diligent Excavator? Only Teferi will tell. Oh, finding the other Mox Amber in the bin now. That's big.
Yeah, and I think this will be game now.
So bouncing the Mox Amber, drawing a card, allowing him to replay that. There's extra goodies in the bin now because of the 2 Diligent Excavators going ham.
Hasn't even made a land drop yet. I didn't even notice that.
He's just been on pure Mox power. So running out the Mox Amber, Diligent Excavator targeting himself. Just be careful not to mill yourself there, Lee. But, you know, at this level of play, they're not going to make that mistake. Oh, finding a bunch of lands. It's not what you want to see. You want to see legendaries. That's the only time you want to see, like, important cards milled, because this becomes your hand. Come on, library, behave.
Well, once you get rid of it all, you will eventually hit everything, right?
Yeah.
So you'll hit a couple land columns here and there. But yeah, so the math that's happening now is to make sure, can Lee get another excavator into play to make sure that these 3 Moxes can loop, generate enough value to mill out Ken.
This is tense times for Ken, because he fizzled a little bit there. His deck didn't find him the Mox Ambers that he needed or the combination of cards just to keep going. So I bet he's feeling a little bit betrayed by his deck on the other side of the table.
For us on the outside watching, though, this is the match, or this is the game that Lee really needs to win, because Ken does have just a stronger sideboard plan with those 4 Assassin's Trophies. It's just like this free win machine if you ever draw 2 of them in your first 10 cards. Just being able to deal with early lands and get such a big man advantage.
Oh, yeah. So Diligent Excavator is now turning its focus to Ken Yukuhiro on the other side, and we're going to start milling away. Let's see if we can keep this infinite, almost infinite loop going with the Mox Ambers that we have found on Lee's side of the table.
Well, I feel like some math has been done, not by us.
No, I'm not good at math, so.
Yeah. and I feel like we will see Ken milled out right now.
All right, so let's see. But like I said in the first matchup, these players aren't going to scoop it up. You know, typically you would see on ranked, okay, I'm never getting a turn again, scoop it up, let's go to the next one. There's a lot to play for here. I'm pretty sure all of these players want a free entry into day 2 of a Mythic Championship, right?
It is one of the nicest things at a tournament.
I
just
mean,
an entire day. Oh, it was
you were
wonderful.
chilling, you were hanging out in the pool, you were annoying Brian. It was great.
Oh, it was wonderful. And we were, but on the serious side of it, you're fresh for day 2. While everyone else is playing the final matches, you're preparing for certain matchups that you're going to see coming. When everyone's going out to eat and then going to bed, you're working on sideboard plans. It was a great advantage. It was wonderful.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, are there any disadvantages to getting a straight, buy into day 2?
There was one. I didn't know the computers that well, or this. I'd never went in and sat at a computer until day 2. Everyone else that was there had a feature match, knew what was happening. It was the first time. I had those round 1 jitters, on Saturday morning.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that, because everyone's a little bit battle hardened from day 1. But as we can see, Lee is just comboing off, having the merriest time on his side of the battlefield. And Yukuhiro can't do anything right now. Just all the answers, and he has called it. Let's go on to game 2. Taking a look at sideboard plans here, taking out the Yawgmoth's Vile Offering, Tameo, Lazav, the Oaths of Kaya, Teferi, and a Diligent Excavator. Interesting.
Yeah, even though I think that Vile Offering is very good in the matchup, I think Lee has identified that those Assassin's Trophies are going to make it very difficult to cast. So really going leaner on the strategy. All the 2-mana interaction, there's 7 copies of it in Ashiok and these Restless, just trying to, weather the storm of those early turns.
Yeah, and bringing in a lot of removal for this mirror match. So this is going to be an interesting tussle. You said that Ken Yukuhiro had the better sideboard plan. So talk us through this.
This is amazing again. Ken is once again taking the combo out and just going to a mid-range deck. I am going to build this deck. This is just, this is awesome. I love it. I would have never guessed. I would have sat in a room and practiced for this for weeks, and I would have never taken Excavator out of my deck.
Yeah, it seems like such a pivotal part of the combination, and here he's saying, nope, give me the Assassin's Trophies, please. I'm going to blow up absolutely everything.
Yeah, if everyone's going to try to stop me from comboing, I'm going to stop being a combo deck. And I'm just going to go to this mid-range strategy, and it's very good. These Assassin's Trophies are just going to be able to attack lands, but later in the game, it's still going to destroy anything with no downside.
Yeah, it's great because there's only, what, one basic land in Ken Yukuhiro's deck, if that's
No,
or if
neither
in
player has one.
No, oh yeah, you're right.
Matt Nass is the only person who brought one in the sideboard.
Okay, clever Matt Nass. Maybe that'll feature a little later. But before we get there, let's find out what happens in this match. Both players running out the Scrylands, finding the Diligent Excavator on top for Lee. Keeping it there. We've got land. We're good. We're not struggling for land at the moment. So let's get that out. Let's get Fibblethip rocking. 2 Mox Ambers for Yukuhiro. That's pretty darn good. And yeah, we're not going to see the Excavators. We have Kethis still, though. So what does the game look like from Yukuhiro's side? Is it all very reactive, or...?
It's not all reactive. You can still put permanents into play, Planeswalkers, Kethis, things of that nature, but you are trying to keep on a higher board position with all of your removal spells. But it's not really working out, right? Because the hand only has a Kethis and now a Teferi, which is great, and that can be played next turn if Lee didn't have a removal spell. But Lee has a lot more action, and that's one of the big problems of this mirror match is if one player just has the curve, things can go awry really quickly for the other player.
Yeah, so nothing scarier than a turn 4 Teferi Hero of Dominaria, but we do have an answer for it in the Noxious Grasp, so not too much of an issue there, but Lee just deciding what he wants to run out. Diligent Excavator seems to be the play, followed by the Mox Amber. Let's start milling.
Yeah, followed by the Isolated Chapel and that Noxious Grasp, knowing that if he takes care of this Kethis, that won't mean a Teferi comes down.
That's exactly right. So, Teferi, you're back to 5 CMC. I'm sorry, friendo. You're going to have to hang out one more turn. And the draw, another Hallowed Fountain. That's rough. Oof.
That is very rough for Ken.
Yikes. That's a bit of a yikes. I think that qualifies. And Lee is sitting very pretty on this side. We've got a Teshar we can play. We've got Teferi, Time Raveler. We've got Tamio, Collector of Tales if we want to go finding that Kethis. So it just seems like everything's looking pretty good for Lee.
Yeah, the only downside for Lee right now is he actually doesn't have green mana.
Yeah.
So those Tamios aren't being able to be cast. But we'll be able to...
Bouncy, bouncy time. I was thinking about running out that Glacial Fortress here.
I'm interested in the bounce of the Mox because the Fibblethip will generate a card. I think reevaluating the math here, we're going to see a bounce of the Fibblethip and an extra card. We're not going to try to combo this turn and hopefully go for it next turn, maybe?
Yeah, let's see. So deciding instead to bounce the Mox Amber, maybe he wants to try and find that green source. But just finding a Fibblethip. Fibblethip's a great find, though. You know, it brings you cards. He's a good boy.
Best of both worlds.
Yeah. So let's see what he finds off the top of the library. You're going to mill some. If it's a green land, we're sad about it, but it's not. Assassin's Trophy. And another card enters the graveyard. Fibblethip drawing a Watery Grave. So still no green mana? That's also a bit of a yikes.
It is, yeah. But now with that Mox in hand, I do like actually picking up. And the reason that Lee didn't put it back into play is it's going to combo with Teshar next turn.
Oh, yeah.
It can get a Kethis into play if and there is one in there, so
now a lot of players wouldn't have seen Teshar before. It's a Dominaria card, not very popular in standard meta. What does it do exactly?
Teshar triggers off of a historic cast. So whenever you cast a historic card, which is an artifact, a legendary creature or planeswalker, you'll be able to get a CMC creature 3 or less from your graveyard and put it directly into play. So we're going to see Kethis come directly into play off of that Teshar unless Ken can do something about that graveyard.
That's pretty good. I like it. I hope we get to see that. But going back to Yukuhiro, we now have Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, on the battlefield. Drawing a card, gonna untap some lands, finding Lazav the Multifarious off the top of the library. Lee just taking a look at his graveyard, deciding what it is he wants to bring back. There's an argument for Fibblethip if you want more card draw, but Kethis is probably the better bet.
Yeah, I think that'll let you start generating a win, and this is going to put 4 more cards in the graveyard because of that excavator. And this is an interesting part about this sideboard. Now, Ken has went to this mid-range plan, but if you don't have the capability to combo, you have to interact with your opponent every turn. And now maybe that will happen more often than not. Ken's draw was not that good for this game and didn't really develop. But when I've seen these mirror matches, I have seen players just comboing through interaction. So maybe you need a ton of it. And Teferi plus interaction does work really well. But I think we're going to see I don't know what Ken could draw to get out of this.
It's going to be very interesting to see what the next turns bring for both players. Taking a look in the graveyard, what do we want to try and bring back if we are Lee? He's got some goodies to pick from.
Oh, and we're on full combo. If we have 2 creatures in the graveyard, they both come into play. And that can loop the fiddle flip
nice.
every time of just drawing an extra card, getting stuff.
So this is quite a cool variation on the combo, having Teshar in available just to get some more things out of the graveyard if Kethis isn't, pulling his weight.
Oh, yeah. Well, I usually play with 1 copy of Teshar in my main deck, and the justification was you can just mill yourself with 2 Mox and 2 Teferis because that'll eventually get all of your excavators into play, and you can go off on any base. And I have told myself, because this deck came out after my split, I am not going to take the standard format too seriously where I have to learn all the math in this deck, because that's spreadsheets, and that's people asking math scientists for help, and I just didn't want to do it.
Scientists say, whew, some of these players take their magic seriously, and why not? Because we are fighting for a bye into day 2 of Mythic Championship 5. Just to remind everyone what is at stake here, besides bragging rights of, hey, I comboed off in turn 4. And
we now know the stakes for 2020, right? These mythic points are very important for us. I was not happy with myself for going 3-4, only getting 6 out of this one. It was frustrating.
Well, there's always next time, Brad Nelson.
There is always next time.
14.
So Teferi just plussing. We haven't got much else to do. It looks like we might give another turn back to Ken Yukuhiro, because I don't know if there's anything in the graveyard that we can cast this turn. So there we go. Attackers assemble, but no, it's fine because there's Kethis in the way. So no attacks for us.
I'll play my 10 cards. Your turn.
Yeah, your turn. I'll go through half my library. Your go. Ooh, a Mox Amber off the top. That's pretty good. We have no graveyard, though, for Ken Yukuhiro, so he kind of needs to do something about that. What's the play here for him?
There's 2 things you can do. You can try to Lazav to try to hit exactly a combo piece, but there is no combo piece in his deck. He has to play a mid-range game.
Yeah.
And this is the one Lazav that he left in his deck, which maybe, isn't going to be that powerful. It's tough. The plan is to contain your opponent in this mirror match, and he has not done that one turn.
No, he hasn't contained anything. I mean, Lee has just been going absolutely crackers, finding a land, spinning that off the top. I mean, Teferi can draw a card, so maybe we have another chance at something happening here.
Yeah, I mean, we would have to draw an interactive spell or an Ashiok. It just does feel like too many things happened last turn to come back from. It really does. Now, there isn't a lot of legendary cards in the graveyard, but there's 4 cards in hand, and we'll see where all of this happens, plus an activation from the Ashiok. I would be shocked if there isn't a combo here, but maybe there's a card off the top with that Teferi that I'm not thinking of. I don't think there is. Even a removal spell doesn't seem like it can do anything.
Let's see, what do we find? Tense moments here.
Another
It's a land. Well, you're the worst
land.
Thing that Ken Yukuhiro could possibly draw. Bad deck, no library. I mean, no biscuit. Wow, I messed that up completely. But you know what? We have a Mox Amber. There's still hope, maybe, but very much in the driver's seat here for Lee. What do we do? Ken, has his sideboard failed him?
The opening hand, the double Mox, I could definitely see a world where you're supposed to take a Mox out of your deck if you're going to this mid-range because you don't have that combo capability. That's something I was thinking about while we were doing this. It's like, if you play 4 Mox, now I used to play a lot of the I don't even remember the card, the combo, the mono blue combo deck, Paradoxical Outcome from last season. And when I went more mid-range, I would take a Mox out. Drawing 2 is kind of a dead thing if you don't have a combo for it. And if you don't mill a ton of cards. So that did fail. No interaction, no double Assassin's Trophy, easy win draw.
Yeah, I bet you he wishes he had those cards. But he's got no cards that are useful. He's got no graveyard. And Lee is looking to be in the best position he could possibly want to be. He's got 2 Tamus, he's got Legions, and if he wants to get rid of some stuff, he's got his own Ashiok. Well, he's got a spare Ashiok, I should say. You know, just in case the other one's not pulling its weight.
Yeah, this is the true power of,
goodness.
of Tashar. Now, every time Lee plays a legendary spell, it's going to mill 2, but also Tashar's going to get a creature back. And now that's going to allow for the draws off the Fiddle Flip and the Legend rule. Eventually, more excavators will find their way to the graveyard, which Tashar will put back into play, and we're gonna see if Ken doesn't concede like 8 mills per legendary spell cast.
Oh goodness me, that sounds phenomenal. Let's see what Tamio, Collector of Tales, is gonna find in the library. What are we looking for here, Lee? Another Mox Amber, sure. Yep. Easy peasy, off the top. Never didn't have it. Binning 2 more legendaries there, so we're going to see some cycling of legendaries. This is going to enter the battlefield. Diligent Excavator is going to mill himself, and what does Tashar want to bring back? Yeah, sure, Fibblethip, like you said, just almost an infinite draw engine now.
It's just going to be draw until you find excavators. Those are going to play. You have to make sure you exile, because Tashar is not a May. If there's the possibility of just playing a legendary, being forced to put it into play, drawing a card that you don't have access to and losing.
All right, so Ashiok Dream Render is going to replace the other copy. Getting that into the graveyard as well, and bringing back, well, first triggers for milling, and then bringing back the other Fibblethip who's hanging out in the graveyard. So this is really cool. I like this. I say the addition, but I'm pretty sure Teshar was in the very first iteration of this deck that we saw. So it's just some of the MPL players deciding not to play it, but it's great to see it in action here, and it's proving to be quite critical. Yeah,
I can't even tell you the reason to play or not in main. I do think that you don't want to play it and Jace. They're kind of just the win condition.
Yeah.
And if you play too many of these cards, then you're just going to have worse opening hands, especially if you're trying to find room for as many Tamios as you can fit in.
Oh, 6 cards left in the library, so we're getting close to mill here. Does Lee have Jace? Is he hanging out there somewhere?
Jace should be in the deck, but even if not, like I said, like there'll be enough legendaries, and you'll get all the excavators into play. I don't know if there's any that are exiled. I don't believe so.
There we go. Milling some more. Going to be drawing another card off of Fibblethip the Lost. Finds an Evergrown Tomb. Legion's End. Still in the hand. Keeps wanting to, be activated, but nope. We're going to see Kethis Hidden Hand now. Exiling 2 more legendaries. He's got so many to pick from. Holy moly.
Like I said, taking those out just to make sure that you don't draw a card when you have 0 cards left.
So Fibblethip, you've done your job. You are now very lost. We'll find you in exile later. We've got Mox Amber going to enter the battlefield. Going to trigger so many triggers, and now we're going to start the Mill My Opponent plan.
Yep.
Here we go. So Kethis, a redundant copy of Kethis, but it's the only target that we have. So we're going to play that. Do we want to play that, or do we want to just... It's a May, right? So you don't have to? For Teshar?
No, Teshar is not a May. That's why you get rid of them.
Right.
So you'd be forced to draw a card. But you can just put into play Legend Roll. It's just the steps that you have to take.
All right, so Ken Yukuhiro giving it up to Shi Tian. So congratulations to him. He advances.
Yes, very impressive win from Shi Tian. And it's interesting to just pull out what looks like the win condition to us and just rely on 2 copies of Jace for Ken Yukuhiro. But we didn't. Is that right? Because there's not much you can do to combo off to make it go. Explain to me what Ken was doing.
What Ken was trying
out
and what
all
didn't
of the
work.
Diligent Excavators.
Oh, I don't know what Ken was
doing. This isn't a plan you would have chosen, and I just thought, if you don't have Jace, what are you doing?
Well, so Ken took his ability to mill himself out of his deck, and in exchange went for a very mid-range strategy with Teferi. Now that's something that we saw Javier Dominguez do with Bant Scapeshift a few months ago. Put Teferi in the sideboard of it with some removal, and so what that allows you to do is just play another mid-range game, especially when people are attacking you. Now it's great when you hate a combo deck, and that combo deck can draw multiple cards using Teferi here of Dominaria. It's a very good card. But it works best with the interaction, and now that's what Ken did. Just didn't draw any of the removal.
Right, tough spot.
It's a very risky plan. I don't know if it's correct or not. I would have to sit, in the war room and test for hours to figure out if that's like the correct strategy. But it does feel risky because this mirror is very hard to contain. We haven't yet found a deck that contains Kethis, so why do you want your Kethis deck to play that contain role, right? We saw anti Kethis decks lose in the head-to-head play, and now even we saw Brian take a loss with his anti-Esper Hero Kethis deck.
Can't be beat. Well, good thing it's rotating out soon enough. But we do have an interview with the winner of this match, Shi Tian, talking to Paul Jian.
Hello, everybody. I am joined here by the winner of the lower finals match, Shi Tian, playing a crazy, crazy match against Ken Yukuhiro. How's it feeling?
Yeah, it's a mirror match, so it really depends on our draw. Like in game one, he tried to go off, but he failed to mill extra legendary, so he cannot activate the Kethis again. Like he kind of break. And then in game two, I have the removal draw, and then I just able to stop him.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about some of the cooler techie cards that you had in your deck that was a little bit different than the other players. So in game one, you won with Yawgmoth's Vile Offering, and that card was, I mean, it looked absolutely insane in that game. I mean, could you tell us a little bit about the decision to kind of choose to play that card?
Yeah, because I expect people will bring in, like, people will main deck the Ashok. So I want something that can destroy Ashok. Also, I want to have value, like, for me to go off. So that card actually quite good, because, like, after they cast their Ashok, they are going to exile our graveyard, so we need another setup. But sometimes I can just take the Planeswalker or creature cast from their graveyard instead.
So now, going into the finals, you've already played against them once. You played against Matt Nass, and he was the victor. How are you feeling about kind of his build going into the finals?
Well, he got 4 Ashok in 75, so which is kind of annoying, because Ashok in Kethis actually got value by milling himself, so he can go off with Ashok. So that's, yeah, but I also got 3 Ashok, and I got some Elder Spell, so hopefully I can handle that. I mean, I lost to him in this morning already, so hopefully I can get a revenge.
And of course, things are going to be slightly more difficult for you, as you're going to have to win 2 matches, whereas he just needs to win 1 to take it down.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah.
And I wish you the best of luck in the finals of the Sapphire division.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, we heard it from Shi Tian. He's rematching again with Matt Nass, who only needs to win 1 match, where Shi Tian needs to win 2 matches in a row to make it straight into day 2 of the Mythic Championship 5, coming up in October 19th to 21st, I believe.
Yeah.
It's something around there.
It's around there.
and it's a new standard format that we have to start testing starting, I think, in a week or 2 it comes out.
Yeah, September 27th, I want to say, around then.
Yeah,
We're
the
doing lots of
26th.
estimates on dates here. Like, get a calendar.
Roughly around, sort of ish. Are you nervous for that?
The testing
Yeah.
process, I'm always nervous about testing. I put too much into Magic. I really do. I spend so many hours testing and thinking about, like, just one card choice for every tournament I play in, even, you know, just down to just 1 match of MPL. Like I tested so much for last split. It was absurd. And you play 1
It
match.
paid off.
Worked out well.
It
You
did-
went
it did pay
7-0,
off, yeah.
14 mythic points, which
I
you
did,
just
yeah.
noted were very important.
They
and
were.
Speaking of testing new cards, we have another preview cards we're going to look at from Throne of Eldraine.
Woo,
Yeah, I
Knights.
think these Knights,
I'm very
I'm no
excited.
predictor of metagame, but I have a feeling Knights are going to come into play. What do you think about these cards?
I'm so
I mean,
excited for
they seem
Knights.
very powerful to me, especially that Wintermoor Commanders.
Oh
Pretty
yeah,
cool.
that one is absolutely awesome. As a 2-drop that makes something else indestructible, and its toughness varies, kind of like one of the other cards from a previous set. That was a mistake, but you know what? It's totally fine. But
Oh,
yeah,
no,
I love the Knights.
I'm mostly sad that the Knights from Dominaria are rotating out when
Yeah,
the Knights
that's
of
the only
of
sad
Eldraine are
part
coming
about
in.
it.
Yeah. One thing it took me so many times reading Seer Conrad, the Grim. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just there's so many places where creatures can go to get a trigger off of that thing that it's going to be hard to keep track of.
I just like it that Magic Arena tells me exactly when a trigger goes off. I can imagine
I
in
love
paper,
it so
though,
much.
that's going to get missed quite a bit.
Sierra seemed reminiscent of Sanctum Seeker to me, of those like inevitable triggers that you're sort of throwing things in the graveyard and it's 1 damage for all the things, doing things. It just trigger happy, as they say.
It's a very trigger happy
Good
card,
mana sink,
yes.
too, yeah.
Oh, for sure. No.
It's like, I want to see how many cards I can get off the top of your library, pretty please.
Yes.
I also love the joke of Belle of the Brawl, since
Yeah.
Brawl is now coming to Arena.
Yes, absolutely.
Good pun. Well done to whoever named
Excellent.
this card. Well
and
done.
we'd have another slide here. More cards. Ooh, so clever. With the
love
fairy
these.
tale design. Bake into a pie, destroys a creature, and creates food. Another
Nom, nom.
possible food interaction. And maybe that food could be turned into something because it is an artifact later. And there's other cards that turn artifacts into other things. Midnight Clock, of course. A little Cinderella
Midnight Clock, yeah,
action,
getting as
very
many
cute.
counters in there as you can.
And in
It's
the
awesome.
late game, getting a hand of 7 cards is
that's pretty darn good.
awesome. Yeah.
Especially when
and
you run out of stuff to do. That's exactly the kind of thing you want to be activating.
It's
Yeah.
also mana rocks are always so close to being playable.
Mm.
They just need some additional ability. And now if you play this card, Midnight Clock, just to produce mana and accelerate you into a game plan, but then as a mana sink or just inevitability, it's just that's what's going to make that so powerful.
Absolutely, yeah. Without the tap for 1 blue source, it may not get any play. But with
Yeah.
that, I could see it getting play.
I do like the visual of Crystal Slipper with like a mono red deck. Can you imagine goblins running in Crystal Slippers? It's just like the best visual. When I saw that, I was like,
Would that be a card that's maybe a little more popular in limited? I don't know if it's gonna.
limited, it could be cool.
Yeah, equipment usually aren't that good in constructed.
Unless you're
All
playing
right.
knights.
No.
No,
no,
not
which
even?
equipment?
No, with the commander in the brawl deck that makes all the equipment cost 0.
Oh, no, that was good. I haven't
I
played a
think that
lot
could
of
be
this
fun.
brawl yet. I'm excited to get into it. I'm going home tomorrow and I'm
Yes.
playing a lot of Arena. I've had a busy week.
Absolutely. Well, Throne of Eldraine is really exciting for me because I'm very pumped about
I
this
can tell you
theme.
like fairy tales.
I just love fairy tales. I
Who
love
doesn't?
that lore. Yeah, it feels good. And if you haven't watched the trailer for Throne of Eldraine,
Go
look it
now.
up because it's charming, it's adorable, it features gingerbread people. And we do have a short break right now, but when we get back, we're going to get into our first match of the grand finals of today's Sapphire division, so stay tuned.